So what we're aiming to do with this strategy for e-social science in the UK is to understand how we can harness the work that has gone before in e-science and in trying to create these infrastructures and platforms to look at different forms of data and apply these to world-class social research. So here, looking at what's going to be happening with the changing society. And again, I'm going to show you another map which gives you an idea of where things are going on. And here, what we have is a number of different nodes, centres of excellence that have been funded by the Economic and Social Research Council, looking at different areas such as agricultural policy, the ageing population, looking at obesity, looking at visualization of geospatial information, and so on. And this is not just set on its own. It also links in with the work on different platforms for research methods, but interestingly and importantly, with the work that's been funded in the digital economy, so the digital economy hubs and also the digital economy doctoral training centres. So we see now, again, a similar network to the one that was developed under the e-science funding programs, being developed under the social science and digital economy funding programs, building and building on the work from the previous program. So one of the reasons why this is so interesting is because under the e-science program, one of the caveats was that data was not readily available. Nowadays, data is no longer the problem. We can gain access to many, many data sources. This is an example of data sources that were marked up with a certain format to allow easy linking as of September 2008. This is the same slide a year later in 2009, and you can see there's been this explosion of well-formatted data. We can see it in the way that the analysis is going on in the general election. Data sets are popping up everywhere, and people are able to use them. So now, the challenges are very different. And so just to finish off this presentation, what I'd like to do is take you through 3 challenges that have come up as a result of a widespread consultation with the people doing social sciences research in the UK. So the first challenge is that a lot of the data that is becoming available is longitudinal data. So we're getting bigger studies, we're getting new types of data. Data coming out from the census is being made available in machine-readable formats. And we have a number of different initiatives that are creating large collections of data that allow us to see changes through time. And in particular, there's a lot more data that's coming up with biomarker information. So we're able to track not just general trends, but we're even able to track people. So what can we do with this? What is this allowing us to address? What kind of modeling can we do using this data? The second is that a lot of the data is of a social and transactional nature. We have large amounts of data being collected through things like loyalty card schemes, through smart power meters, that is being used for one purpose, but may be interesting for other purposes. What we've got to do is understand, and this harks back to some of the discussions that have been coming up today about trust and about transparency, is how we can tell which of this data is good data, good quality data, particularly once we start getting to the sorts of projects which are merging different sources and taking curated sources such as census data and allying those with sources that may be coming from things like Twitter, crowdsourcing data, surveys, rapid responses. So the third challenge is that whilst data is becoming much more available, it's still quite siloed. So what I mean by this is that it's quite difficult to reuse data. Certainly for anyone who's involved in research, one of the big things is understanding how to reproduce and how to reuse results. And what we're aiming to do is get to the point where people can do this. But at the stage we are just now, we are still missing lots of information that would allow the reuse of different data sets that are being produced by people. And here the trade-off is between whether or not you wish to do full curation, but risk the fact that your data set may not be used by anyone, or do loose curation, which will cost less, but potentially cost more in the future if your data set is of importance. And it's very difficult to tell which data sets are important and which ones aren't. For instance, a lot of the data about climate change relies on data sets to do with CO2 levels that were collected only because the person who was in charge of that research decided to do it even after their funding ran out. So what we can do here, at least, is understand how to better link the data to make it usable once it is available. But this is still one of the big challenges we have, the three big challenges we have for social research. So how do we bring this all together? I think I've just gone past my 15 minutes. I'll try and wrap up very quickly with one example. Where we want to go now is understanding things like social simulation. So what we can do now that the data is available, and essentially we're in a position where we can do mashups. We can allow people to look at the linking of different types of models, is things such as understanding the impact of traffic control measures over differing time periods. So we can look at models that take census data on the base demographic data, so the age gender profiles or the kebab diagrams as we saw earlier, and run these models forward, linking together things such as demographic models, transport models, and health models to understand what impact this will have on the population. But we can go further than that. We can go and we can use the fact that we have these interlinked models to go and ask the audience, ask the public what they think about particular policy decisions going on in their city, for instance, and then giving them the results back of what would happen if you ran through these simulations using the choices that they make. So we're augmenting the existing types of data that we understand and understand how to push through these simulations and fusing them with these new forms of data to create hopefully better models, but ones which are much more responsive to what people are trying to find out about. And so I think just to finish off, the sort of take-home messages from this presentation is that when we're looking at the new ways in which we are tackling social science research, is that we certainly have a lot of new data, and particularly we have a lot of data that is born already digitized. We have a lot of new methods, and many of these build on the experiences of the eScience projects, not just within the social sciences, but within other domains. But we certainly have new challenges. So can we look at using all of this new data and these new methods to solve some of the big societal issues, such as the aging population, such as climate change, whilst building up the capacity and capability within the wider research population and retaining the trust that's necessary to convince everyone else. So, just to finish off, I don't think we can avoid volcanoes, but we can understand what their impact is on society. With these sort of models, we can look and see how people change if they can't fly. So, thank you very much, and I'll leave my contact details up there as well if anyone wants to get in touch with either myself or Dave DeRuer. If you're wanting to find out the strategy document that underpins those last 3 points, it's available at that link, top link there. Thank you.